it is not necessarily about how Donald Trump is working so hard to cover up the Epstein files, but more about how Republican leader in the House, James Comer, is working really hard to cover up the Epstein files for Donald Trump because, that's his job now.
Barr said he's never seen any information that showed that he was in the files, and that he would be shocked if there was anything pertaining to President Trump that was negative that the Biden administration wouldn't have leaked out prior to the presidential election. And there was that he never had conversations with President Trump pertaining to a client list. He didn't know anything about a client list. He said that he had never seen anything that would implicate President Trump in any of this, and that he believed if there had been anything pertaining to President Trump with respect to the Epstein list, that he felt like the Biden administration would have probably leaked it out. And I think that's pretty much conventional wisdom among anyone that's practical in this.
James Comer's given a lot of opinions and thoughts and what people would assume from the testimony from Bill Barr that went in to their House Oversight Committee hearing where they subpoenaed him and he then sat down for a deposition about things that he knows. So James Comer went forward in front of some cameras to tell people what it is that he thinks he said. Here's ABC News talking about it in case I didn't explain it well enough.
Positioned by the House Oversight Committee behind closed doors. He's the first of 10 high-profile Democratic and Republican witnesses called to testify.
That was Trump's first Attorney General, previous Attorney General Bill Barr, testifying behind closed doors before the House Oversight Committee. So with some staffers and some members of Congress there. Now, he was on Capitol Hill. That was in a closed door setting. As you know, it comes as Chairman Comer has announced today that the Department of Justice will begin turning over some of these files to them by this Friday. So again, I'm not sure that will be in a public setting, but that's when this document production, if you will begin.
So there they are talking about Bill Barr, former AG during Trump's administration, then going in and speaking with him about this whole Epstein files cover-up. I mean, investigation, my bad. But as you heard, James Comer came out to tell everyone in front of the press what it is that Bill Barr said in that closed door deposition, because, we didn't get a chance to hear it. So he had a chance to come out and spin it. The only problem is with that is that there was Democrats also in there. And, since they're actually seeking some truth on this, Representative Robert Garcia came out and made sure he dispelled the lies that Comer was telling.
I just want to read the portion of your statement where you say, to be clear, yesterday during his deposition, Attorney General Barr could not clear I think that this needs more attention. Attorney General Barr could not clear Donald Trump of wrongdoing. Chairman Comer should release the full unedited transcript of his interview for the public.
Well, look, let's put the facts where we know them. Donald Trump, we know, is in the Epstein files. We know that his name is there. We know that the Justice Department told him and that Pam Bondi directly told the president that he appears in the files. What I would say that in no way was Bill Barr's testimony change the direction of this case. In no way did Bill Barr say anything that was groundbreaking in a way to halt our desire and need for justice for these victims and our certainty that Donald Trump and his name and other folks that may have been involved in different ways with Epstein are not in these files. We know that they are. And so Bill Barr's testimony was an act of Republicans trying to control a narrative, which they're going to do over and over and over again.
That is their job, to try and cover for this guy. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious from what it is that we've been seeing. So Representative Garcia wants to point out, and he completely dispelled the lie that Comer was telling, trying to make this all easy and clear and clean. The other part about this is there was multiple Democrats in the room, and some of them also gave us some perspective of the kinds of questions that Republicans were asking Bill Barr so they could come out and have these kind of narratives that they were pushing, hoping that people will, again, go back to the original objective here. People will just shut up and stop talking about this. Trump already told them, why are you guys still on this? I don't want to get implicated. Please shut up.
I have more questions now than I did before going in. Certainly there's other people now we want to talk to based on some of the things he said. Just generally, though, I think the Democratic side is doing most of the heavy lifting. I don't think we're learning much from the questioning from the House Republicans. It doesn't seem like this is something where they are truly caring about the victims and about trying to get to the bottom of what's happening. Whereas on the Democratic side, we are asking the tough questions and trying to get some answers. But certainly, we have more questions now than we did going in, and we want more answers and more people to talk to.
If you guys don't know, as this has been building up, this is the House committees that are supposed to be subpoenaing people to come in and talk potentially in these oversight meetings. These are the subpoenas that we're including, as James Comer had pointed out before, Bill and Hillary Clinton potentially. So Bill Barr is one of the first ones coming in. For some reason, is enough for James Comer to be like, I'm done. Where's Bill Clinton at, James? Where's the next people that you said you can't wait to get in there? Because again, look, it's August 20th. We got 10 or so days left of this month before all the folks who left early under the direction of Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, who took off early so they would have to stop talking about this and hoping that this whole month of destruction, disaster, and chaos that this administration continues to unleash on the country would force people to stop thinking about this. There could be one other person that they could subpoena that I think knows a lot more than anyone else about this. Representative Robert Garcia pointed that out as well, too.
Well, what the folks that we need to hear from is you're exactly right. Alex Acosta knows more about Jeffrey Epstein than probably any living human being on the planet. He put together Jeffrey Epstein's deal. He intimately knows the ins and outs of the case, of what happened, of who did what, of every document, of the client list, of what the FBI was investigating, what the U.S. Attorney's Office was engaged with. And so this idea that we're not going to call the single most important living human being that knows more about this than anyone, I think is a real, I think, part of a broader scheme to cover up the facts. However, we know now that there's Republicans out there. Now, I've talked to a couple already, including one that's gone public, which is Representative Luna, who have said they're willing to hear from Alex Acosta. So what we've told James Comer is if you are not going to put forward a motion to subpoena Alex Acosta, then we're going to have to force another vote when we come back and get into Congress.
Why don't they want to talk to Alex Acosta? I mean, I thought they wanted to get to the bottom of this. I thought they wanted to expose all the Democrats that are littered all over the list, and I'm sure there are, and get to the bottom of it and get some justice for the victims. But they keep coming back to this tired argument that we don't want to expose any of the victims. We don't want to re-victimize them by putting their names out there. That's real simple to do, except in case you guys forgot, there was a team that was taken from their normal jobs within the FBI to scour the records and try to find any mentions and instances of Donald Trump and scribble that out. Make sure nobody else sees that. No, that was their focus. It had nothing to do with the victims. And we've seen victims that were courageous enough to actually come out and talk about this for years. Not in the past 6 months, but for years. And they don't want to talk to them. Jasmine Crockett was also standing there outside of it. And they really don't want her on these panels because she's willing to also tell some truths as well.
The country really wants to know what is in the files. And I want to be clear that the deadline to actually turn those files over to the committee is on tomorrow. And I will say that after doing this interview, it is clear that we absolutely need the files. Obviously, Attorney General Barr, left in 2020. I don't know that it will ever become fully clear as to why he left, but we know that he left. We know that the investigation seemingly involved SDNY. And right now we need to speak with those that were involved in the investigation. That is clear as well. It is also clear that the attorney that was responsible, Acosta, for handing out the deal prior to Attorney Barr's reign as Attorney General, we probably need to talk to him. It is very convenient that even though we had to do some twisting and turning to get to the point that we could even get a subpoena, because if you recall, the Congress left early because they did not want to take a vote on this, but because of the leadership on the Oversight Committee, because of the Democratic leadership, they were able to go ahead and get a subpoena in one of our subcommittees done so that we could actually get the ball rolling. The question is if they are truly invested in doing what's right and making sure that there's real transparency for the American people. Right now, it doesn't seem like that. It seems like they are going through the motions and they want people to believe that they are digging in. But at the end of the day, I don't think that we've learned anything through the Republican questioning.
It's a good point to make because it's really easy for us to forget how this happened. As she was pointing out, they took off early. They wanted to give this sign, this empty signal that they were looking to get something done. But in order for even these subpoenas to happen, it had to get pushed again by the Democrats that are on this committee. There's smoke and mirrors. So when Mike Johnson goes on TV and says, but we want to get to the bottom of this.
I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. Look, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump does as well, and I trust him. I mean, he put together a team of his choosing, and they're doing a great job. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it.
We want full transparency. We want everybody who was involved in any way with the Epstein evils, let's call it what it was, to be brought to justice as quickly as possible. We want the full weight of the law on their head.
And then he goes off and there's zero actions behind it because they figure most Americans aren't going to go follow and see what it is that he's been doing in his actual committees and on the floor itself. And the things that he's pushed for votes and asked for to happen never include the things that match up with what he says he wants, because they don't want that. They want you to think that while they do nothing and follow behind Donald Trump. Why would Mike Johnson, who walks around on his knees behind Donald Trump, why would he suddenly defy him on this? Last little bit on this, because after those Democrats came forward and exposed James Comer for being a liar that he is about what it is that Bill Barr was saying, he had to come back and get asked about those responses.
Your Democrat colleagues came out here a short time ago and said that Democrats have been doing more of the heavy lifting in the question and answer session, and they say that Barr has left more questions than actually answers. Do you think more folks should be subpoenaed from the Southern District of New York that dealt with this case?
I think that Barr's answering all the questions. I think it's unfortunate. The Democrats are trying to, seems to me, politicize this. When you look at the basis of this, horrific crimes against young girls, and of course the Democrats' goal is to try to dig up some type of dirt on President Trump and what Attorney General Barr testified. I think it's a good deposition, and obviously we're asking a lot of tough questions too. I don't ever remember the Democrats subpoenaing a former Democrat Attorney General for anything.
How are Democrats making this political when everything that James Comer was saying was talking about how Democrats aren't doing things the right way, Democrats aren't doing it the third way? If that's the case, I think when you start talking about the oppositional party, you're making it political. But and when these guys that were in that oversight committee talk about the questions you're asking and how you're covering up exactly what it is that you say you're looking for, just with general fact, I mean, this is subjective stuff. You can look at it and see what it is that each person is doing. Representative Garcia pointed out that there are some Republicans that are on board for this. Is that being partisan? Or is he just counting the people who are actually saying that they want to get to the bottom of these things, regardless of who it is that they may find on it? And some of those people we vehemently disagreed with, obviously, and of course. But that doesn't seem to be very, partisan the way that Comer was talking about. But in case you guys forgot, the question to James Comer was, do you think more people should be subpoenaed? Consider we haven't gotten to the bottom of this yet. But he then goes to talk about how the Democrats are looking to dig up dirt on Trump. Yo, if there's no dirt and they keep digging, they won't come up with anything, will they? There's this old saying that, Republicans used to always like to say, if you've got nothing to hide, then you'll just come forward and talk about it. But they're not. It makes a lot of people wonder what it is that you have to hide.